3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, my name is Viviana Nava. My PowerPoint presentation was on the United Nations. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is what is the United Nations and what do they do? So the United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945. They are committed to maintaining international peace and security, developing friendly relationships among nations, promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. And the United Nations works to touch every corner of the globe. Their main focuses are Their main focuses are a range of all different kinds of fundamental issues like sustainable development, protection of the environment and refugees, disaster relief and migration, counterterrorism, as well as disarmament and non-proliferation. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the United. What actually the United. Start that again. Hi everybody, my name is Viviana Nava, and my presentation was on the United Nations. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is what is the United Nations and what do they do? So the United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945. They are committed to maintaining international peace and security, developing friendly relations among nations, promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. So the United Nations works to touch every corner of the globe. Their main focuses are a range of all different kind of fundamental issues like sustainable development, protection of the environment and refugees, disaster relief and migration, counterterrorism, as well as disarmament and non-proliferation. So the next thing I'm going to talk to you about are the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations, which is there's actually seven. So the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations represent the historic and transformative agenda, and these are universal and indivisible, and they call for action by all countries, developing, and everything in the middle to promote prosperity while protecting the planet over the next 15 years. These SDGs are to become official on January 1st, 2016. So the 17 goals are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice and strong institutions, and the partnerships for these goals. And here's just a list in more detail about what these 17 goals are. So the United Nations actually has 39 subgroups of different things and different organizations working to do more specific things. For example, there is an organization called the Food and Agriculture For example, there's a group called the Food and Agriculture Organization. There's the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. There's a World Health Organization. There's plenty of nations for different things. Here's even more. Like I said, there's 39. There's even International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, uh, International Telecommunication Union, World Tourism Organization, UN Women. There's literally like a group for everything. Where is the United Nations located? Well, the United Nations, like I said before, wants to touch every part of the globe, so they are on every continent. Um, as you can see, it's mostly focused in Europe and more spread out towards Asia and other parts, Asia and Africa. But there's actually only 3 offices of the United Nations in the United States, being 1 headquarters and 2 sub offices. The United Nations global workforce is made out of 35% women and 65% men. On their website, the United Nations strongly encourages women to apply for any available positions. The official 6 languages of the United Nations are Arabic, Chinese, French, Russian, and Spanish. The UN is trying to work for the correct interpretation and translation of these 6 languages in both spoken and written form, and they think it's very important to the work of the organization because this enables clear and concise communications on the issues of global importance. So my first point of the history of the United Nations is on January 1st, 1942, when the actual name, the United Nations, was coined by the U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. And it was first used in the Declaration by the United Nations on the 1st of January 1942, during the Second World War. And 26 representatives from 26 different nations pledged their governments to continue fighting together against the Axis powers. And right here I actually have a picture of the Declaration by the United Nations. My second point in history is in October 24th, 1945, when the United Nations actually came into existence. So in 1945, 50 countries met in San Francisco at the United Nations Conference on International Organization to draw up the United Nations Charter. The charter was signed on June 26, 1945 by the representatives of the 50 countries. The United Nations officially came into existence on October 24th, 1945. The charter had been ratified by China, France, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and many others. United Nations Day is celebrated on October 24th each year. And here I just have a video of the preamble to the United Nations Charter. Excuse me. And here I have a quick video of the preamble to the United Nations Charter. On January 10th, 1946, the first General Assembly with 51 nations present represented opens in Central Hall, Westminster, London. And here I just have a picture of Mr. Marcel Bellamy, the official photographer for their first UNGA. And my second picture is Norway addresses the first session of the GA. Mrs. Frida Dallin is the first female delegate to address the assembly. So on January 24th, 1946, On January 24th, 1946, the General Assembly adopts its first resolution. Its main focus was peaceful uses of atomic energy and the elimination of atomic and other weapons of mass destruction. On May 1st, 1948, the first peacekeeping operation, the UNTSO, was the first United Nations Troop Supervision Organization, and it was the first peacekeeping operation established by the United Nations. On December 10th, 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted in Paris. Its entire text was composed of less than 2 years during the time which the world was divided in Eastern and Western blocs. The document is commemorated on the 10th of December, Human Rights Day. And here I just have a quick video of Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt reading the Declaration of Human Rights. On November 7th, 1956, the first UN emergency force, UNEF, was created. The first emergency special session of the